After remarciting, reopening challenges. We had our 30,000 gallon pool remarcited here in Michigan last September. Our builder/repair guy walked us through the process and was very hands-on and specific about how to take care of the pool after remarciting. Brush, 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 filter, filter, filter. I don't recall, but I know that we did this past his recommended cure time. After all of this, we shut it down and closed the pool. We put a large tarp on top of the water after draining below the return jets. Then on top we put the safety loop lock cover, which has worked great for 17 years. This last week we reopened. I always pumped the clean snow and rainwater under the black tarp to start. When taking off the covers and now filtering for clear water, in the last 72 hours we're seeing some issues. We have a brown stain along the perimeter and some staining on the stairs that hasn't budged with brushing. We also had quite a bit of plaster fuzz on the walls. The robot has picked up quite a bit of residual plaster as well. I can't accept this as normal, but are there any different things for startup in our scenario of having a recently remarcited pool that we missed? Should we have closed differently? And do you think the staining will go away with time? Any perspective on what's going on? My wife says there's a continued buildup of plaster after the robot picks it up.
Okay, so what I didn't hear in there was the person that did your renovation, did the replaster, and helped train you as to how to handle this. What did he say about the water chemistry? Brush, brush, brush is all fine and dandy, but was there a protocol in terms of how do you cure the plaster properly with water chemistry? That would be my first question and concern. If all of that was done just fine and the water chemistry was good, and when it was put to bed for the winter, the water chemistry was good, I would wonder about the stain. The stain, I'm guessing, is likely above the water level after the pool started refilling from the snow. And what I've certainly seen is, and a new plaster for sure, is that if you put a tarp underneath a safety cover and water starts building up on that tarp, it presses up against the now fresh plaster and it creates a stain based on the cover itself, the plastic cover itself. That should come off. What I would recommend is elevate your chlorine level in the pool and brush that continually. That could come off. If the water level was still low enough where that was exposed, you could run liquid chlorine directly down that without too much fear of damaging the finish itself. I would not use acid. If the plaster is a few years old, I would recommend pouring some acid down that wall, but being that it's fresh plaster, I wouldn't do that. But it sounds to me like it's kind of a combination of things. I might have recommended not putting the undercover under the safety cover for the first year until that plaster cured all the way. That might have solved the problem itself. And I know the pool would have tended to have been a little dirtier when you opened it, but you would have avoided that fresh plaster being pressed against by the cover. And it seems like that interaction between fresh plaster and the cover, I've certainly seen stains in the past myself. So it should be okay. It should be fine. I'm not sure what you're calling this residual plaster. To me, that sounds like a calcium problem, that you might want to look at the hardness of the water. And if the hardness of the water is too high, you're getting a leaching of calcium coming out of the plaster itself. So at this point, it's likely something other than just being fresh plaster, and it's likely a water chemistry issue.